Hi, everyone, and welcome to The Last Full Out. My name is Emily Ramirez. I'm your host. Joining me today is Isabella Bella Duarte, distance runner on the track and field and cross country team, and co creative director on Break On 2. So, Bella, welcome. Usually we would be in a different space,
Mhm.
but this is the studio we have today. So, I'm pretty sure it's going to be fine, but
Yes, of course.
okay. So, let's get started. First of all, congratulations. Break On 2's performance was amazing. Like
Thank
everyone,
you.
everyone was almost out of their seats. Like I know we just showed that we had to sit down, but yeah, like everyone was clapping. The storytelling arc was amazing.
Thank
The
you.
choreography was amazing. I know you and Kat Ramirez, I believe, worked on it.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
congrats on that. And the intermediate acts, like Patricio and Dylan had me
Oh my
cracking
gosh,
up.
I know. That was
Yeah.
our first time seeing a lot of them too.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean it was amazing. I think overall it was from the compliments that I've heard from other
Mhm.
people, like they really enjoyed it and they really loved it. It was a great show. So
And that makes me so happy.
congrats. Yeah.
Thank you.
So before we start on just everything that you're doing here at USC,
Mhm.
I want to go into your formative years. So high school, I know you went to Chino Hills High, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. I actually saw your story in the morning where you were like,
From Chino Hills.
yeah.
Yes.
At what point did you realize where you were like, man, I can do track and field, like seriously, like at the collegiate level?
So it's actually kind of an interesting story. Track and field was never really in the cards for me at first.
Mm-hmm.
It all started off with honestly my sister. She randomly, I remember the day I was in sixth grade or graduating, I guess, sixth
Mm-hmm.
grade. And I remember we were in the car and then my sister randomly was like, I want to run. Like, can I do cross country? And I was in the car with my parents and we are like, what?
Yeah.
Like, why do you want to do cross
Yeah.
country? That's so random. We were both soccer players. We grew up playing soccer. I played soccer for
Mm-hmm.
12 years, 13
Oh
years.
wow. Mm-hmm.
And I still stuck to that. But so when she said that, we were like, okay, my older brother, I have two older brothers, and one of them did it. And he just like kind of did it for fun. He didn't really care too much about it. He was fast, but
Mm-hmm.
he didn't care too much. But as for her, she just like is always on her feet and needs to be doing something. So she started it and randomly, like out of nowhere, she was amazing. Like
Mm-hmm.
from freshman year, she was breaking the school records. She won, no, her sophomore year, she won state for track and field,
Mm-hmm.
which is huge in California. And from there, I was like, I kind of always followed in my sister's footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
She was always like she is still my biggest
Girl,
inspiration
same. My
personally.
older sister too. Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? Like, I guess I'll give it a try. I actually hated running.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a
What a
big
shocker.
part. Yeah.
I'm just like, what?
I know it's like a big part of
Mhm,
soccer. And like my parents always told me, they're like, that's literally all you do. And I was a midfielder too. So like my
mm,
job was
mhm.
running.
Yeah.
But I was more of like a versatile, skillful player. And I was like a playmaker. So I more so like would pass the ball or like take shots, corner kicks and stuff. So I wasn't really focused on the running part as much. But I was like, you know what? I'll give it a try just to get in shape,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
soccer. Why not? Freshman year, I actually did pretty decent. I was on varsity. Started off on JV because I was a little nervous, and word got
Mhm.
around to the coach how nervous I was. So
Mm.
I started off on JV, but then my confidence started building up. So then I worked my way to varsity, and cross country was never my favorite. I did it for the people, and running the mileage with that group of people was so enjoyable.
Yeah.
So then going into track though, that's what I was excited for.
Mhm.
I knew I had some speed from soccer, softball that I played on earlier, and so I was super excited. And so then I first ran the 400. I think I was training for the 800, which is my event now.
Yeah.
But I did not love her. She was a pain in the butt, and she
Mhm.
still is a pain in the butt. But I never really figured out what I was best at because we got cut off by COVID that year.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that
yeah.
was 2020.
COVID. Ugh,
Yeah.
I hate her. Continue.
So I loved COVID.
What?
That was actually not like COVID
Yeah,
itself, but
yeah.
that time during COVID like was such like a special time for my family personally. I feel like
Okay.
I was like the healthiest person of
Mm.
my like career. Like
Yeah.
um health-wise, body-wise, like my skin was
Mhm.
clear, like everything was just going so well because I had so much time on my hands and I was taking
Yeah.
advantage of it. I was making my own foods, like making my own recipes and stuff and
Mhm.
experimenting. And then I would wake up and do yoga every morning,
Mm.
go out in the sun, go out on a run, go on bike rides with my family at sunset.
Wait,
It
I
was
love that.
just we were just very healthy. We took advantage of the time that we
Yeah.
had together because we were always running around like doing
Mhm.
sports growing up. My dad works super long shifts. And then my mom at the time, I believe, was working out of school too.
Mhm.
So we just never really had time as a family. So yeah, we just took
Mhm.
advantage of it. But yeah, going back though to track and cross country, so I never really knew entirely, yeah, what I was doing.
Yeah.
Then throughout COVID, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take advantage of running the trails. So I was building up my mileage really high because I was like, okay, I
Mhm.
want to do good in cross country then. Like that's gonna be my goal this year. I ended up not doing that well sophomore year. I kind of just like stayed where I was.
Yeah.
And it was like a COVID cross country too.
Mm.
We were wearing masks. It was actually kind of fun. We would like throw off the mask at the start line and then we would get to run without them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just kind of stayed stagnant for a little bit through sophomore and junior year. Even with track, like I wasn't doing amazing. They would throw me in random events. So I did the 1, the 2, the 4, the 8.
Mhm.
I never actually did the mile or 2 mile. So technically in track, I was not considered distance.
Mhm.
Besides the 800, it was more middle distance, what they called it. Then my junior year, actually, I wanted to quit. I was very
Turn of the table.
frustrated.
Yeah.
I was extremely frustrated because, well, so for one, I got injured during cross country
Oh,
season. I
wow.
had a stress
Mhm.
fracture in my posterior tibia,
Mhm.
on my left leg. And so I was just super frustrated. And then at that point, I was like, you know what? Maybe track's not my thing. Maybe running's not my thing. And the goal was always, since I was younger, was to go to college for a sport.
Mhm.
We always like that was the goal growing up, me and my sister. And so then I was like, you know what? Maybe I should go give soccer another try. Soccer was like something that I loved, and the only reason I quit was because I was doing dance. I was everywhere in high
Mhm.
school. I wanted
Mhm.
to do anything and everything. Um, and then so junior year, I ended up staying in running, and then finally we kind of started figuring out I was more of a shorter distance kind of person, and I ran in the relays, the 4x1 and the 4x4, and I was having such a fun time because I wasn't like dying for
Mhm.
one. And then we also experimented with the 4x8. I still wasn't at my peak. I was still running like a 2:30,
Yeah.
which is like not good at all.
Yeah.
But it was still fun to be part of the team. And they were pushing me because they were running like 2:20s, which at that point before runners, what do they call it? Runners inflation, which is what
Mhm.
currently is going on because I don't know what they're feeding these high schoolers right
Yeah.
now. Before that, yeah, it was just sort of fun. And then senior year hit, and then I knew that I really had to lock in. I was like, okay,
Mhm.
college is coming. I
Yeah.
don't know where I'm going. I always strived higher than community college or like Cal States. I really wanted to go like big. Like
Mhm.
once I saw my sister was going to USC,
Yeah.
and then even originally she was committed to Oregon
Mhm.
and stuff. So I was reaching as high as she was. And I didn't want to settle for anything less than that. So I was like, okay, I really need to lock in. And my parents were fully supportive of it. And so I did some private training during the
Mhm.
summer with the coach. And then with another coach, I did like 3 different coaches, and none of them lasted very long, but I learned something different from each of them.
Mhm.
And then combined with all the knowledge of my high school coaches, I kind of developed a personality for my own style of running, if that makes sense. I
Yeah.
feel like I was always running for everyone else
Yeah.
and doing what they told me, but then I finally figured out what worked for me and I applied that. And I told my high school coach, I was like, okay, this year I need to do what is comfortable for me. I know my body finally. So I'm going to use what I know and apply it this year.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started dropping my mileage in cross country because I realized the mileage was getting me hurt. And I ended up PRing my senior year in cross country. And then moving into track, I randomly got faster in the 100, the 400, and the 200 I PR'd, which was super fun.
Mhm.
And then our team ended up going to state for through all 3 relays, and that was the first year that the state meet had all three of those relays. The 4x8 was a new one. And 800, I slowly started falling in love with it again. I think I ran the 800 probably like 12 times that year. It was
Yeah.
quite a lot, but it was exciting seeing how much my efforts were paying off, like from the summer, even from freshman year, just like
Yeah.
continuously paying off. And eventually, I started reaching out to colleges. Unfortunately, I wasn't fast enough for them to reach out to me at that point. So it was a very different process than what my sister had to go through. She had them reaching out left and right because she was a state winner. But for me, I remember I'm actually a transfer from UC Irvine.
Yeah, yeah.
And so originally that story, I was at it was like a pre-season meet, and I ran a 300 there just to like get something in. And the UC Irvine coach was there, or who was the coach at the time. And I remember one of the photographers for track, we know, like we're close with him, and he was like, "You should go up to him." And I was like, "I cannot. Like that's UC Irvine. Like I'm not that fast right now." And I wasn't at that time. And, but he was like really pushing me. My parents were pushing me. And so eventually I just went to go talk to him. And he was like, "You know what? I'm going to be honest. Like, you're not there yet, but you could keep my contact info. And if you eventually get down to a 220 at least, then we'll start talking." So that really like clicked it into gear for me. I was like, okay, I just need to get down to 220. So I had to knock off 10 seconds off my time,
Yeah.
which was a lot. So literally from that meet and on, I just kept on knocking off time. I went like 228, then 226, 222, and then finally I broke it at a 218 at a meet in Irvine, ironically. And I remember I texted him and I was so excited and I was like, "Hey, like I'm finally there. Like, can we start talking now? Like, getting on the team and everything." And because at that time I was already accepted into the school academically. And then he was like, actually, he didn't respond. I got ghosted,
Oh.
and I was like, "What is going on?" And but then eventually found out he got fired.
Oh,
So
okay.
then eventually it worked out because I ended up reaching out to the head coach and they let me on, which was really great. I was considered technically a walk on. I wasn't on scholarship or anything, but I was just excited to be there,
Yeah.
And I loved my Irvine team. So that was kind of like how I got to college
Mhm.
and stuff. I trained throughout the summer and eventually got there and then ended up here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, the risk like you took just like reaching out to every college,
Hmm.
that is like big enough as it is. That's courageous.
Hmm.
So you talked about CIF and,
Yes.
obviously with the growth of women's sports and all that stuff, um, we're seeing more Latin like representation
Hmm.
in college sports.
Yes.
Um, so and they're trailblazers, right? You yourself are a trailblazer, just
Hmm.
doing that, like everything that you just said. But in high school, like I did research and I saw
Hmm.
that you were the first, not just Latina athlete, but first female athlete to compete in all three relay events at the CIF state championship.
Yes.
Like, did you know at the time that you were doing that?
I didn't. It was actually my mom that pointed it out, like, at the meet, and
Uh-huh.
she was like, "Did you know about this?" And I was like, "I didn't know about this." There was one other guy that was also the first person to do that, so he was the first male to do that, and he was also competing in an individual race too, so he was crazy, but yeah, I thought that was super exciting because I had never thought I would get an experience where I was, like, the first, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. I was always kind of, like, behind in the shadow of my sister, so I was never a first. And then also being able to represent the Latino community
Yeah.
was so awesome. I know my mom and my dad were super proud.
Yeah.
Because I even remember like that race I mentioned in high school, my freshman year, my first ever 400 I ran. I was the only Latina athlete out there in the 400. I was the shortest,
Mhm.
and I placed fifth overall out of I think 40. So that was pretty good for a freshman and starting out. But it was like really cool to like stand out in that perspective, I guess. Even with soccer, I had that same journey. I played soccer actually down in Orange County.
Mhm.
And so there were a lot of blondes, lots of blondes, and
Yeah,
there were
right? Orange
only,
County.
yes.
Yeah.
So there were only two of us, I think
Mhm.
two or three of us that were like people of some sort of color
Mhm.
and we stood out
Yeah.
obviously,
Mhm.
And my mom always told me, she was always very on me about how we have to represent.
Mhm.
And that kind of pushed me going into college even now and stuff. It's a gentle reminder of like what I'm trying to represent as a person.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. I mean, did you, like, have any case of, like, imposter syndrome, like, going into it? Or was it just like, "No, like, I'm gonna represent," like, you know?
You know
Like
what? Yes.
mhm.
In specifically the 4 by one because in the 4 by one typically you see a lot more Black athletes in that
Mhm.
event because they're just so talented in that event.
Yeah.
Even you see like Nigeria placing high
Yeah.
in worlds and in the Olympics for the
Mhm.
100 meter. So I was super intimidated, especially at the state championships. I looked around me and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm the lightest one over here.
Like
Like, and it did push me though. I don't think I was ever too intimidated by it or an imposter syndrome. I think I used it as motivation to be like, okay, I'm the only one here. I need to show and prove why I'm here,
for
sort of
sure,
thing.
for sure. You mentioned your parents, Marco and Maria
Yes.
Duarte. Are you first generation or
So technically, I don't really know like the rules of it, but I mean technically yes, my sister and I are first
yeah,
generation.
yeah.
Yeah, my mom was born in Chihuahua, Mexico.
Okay.
And my dad is from America.
Mhm.
His parents are from Mexico City.
Mhm.
So yes, I believe
Yeah.
they didn't attend college. I think my mom attended Cyprus for like less
Yeah.
than a year,
Mhm.
and that was it. She didn't finish classes. They ended up getting married super early and then having my brother very early on. So yeah, they didn't really have time to do much.
Okay. Okay. And growing up, can you describe a bit of like the cultural heritage that you like the food and the music that you would listen to and things like that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think looking back at it now, I see because I always thought I grew up kind of no sabo kid a little
Mm,
bit, and I got a
same.
little
Same.
nervous.
Yeah.
I got a little nervous joining break on too because I was like, oh my gosh, I don't speak Spanish.
Mhm.
I'm definitely trying to work on it, but when I was younger, I definitely did.
Mhm.
But I developed like a little speech impediment, like a stutter, so I had to stop,
Mhm.
unfortunately, and only focus on English. But around the house, like there were certain things that I knew. Like I remember for the longest time, this is such a random memory. I didn't know what a potato was. I only knew it as a
Mm.
papita. I was
Mhm.
always like, what the heck is potato?
Yeah.
And even like now, like I see like the snacks I ate too. My boyfriend makes fun of me. My boyfriend's Italian and Mexican, but he's primarily Italian,
Mhm.
OC kid. He
Yeah.
doesn't know much, and he literally made fun of me not even that long ago. I introduced him to a tortilla with butter,
Yeah.
and
Oh my
he was
gosh.
like I was like, "That's like a basic snack."
Yeah.
And he was like, "That's so bizarre. Like, well, what do you mean?" And I was like, "You won't know until you give it a try." So
Yeah.
I made him warm up a tortilla, and he put the butter on.
Yeah.
He was like, "It's a tortilla with butter." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Exactly.
Exactly.
That's
That's what makes it
that's what it's supposed
good.
to be. It's just like a
Yeah.
light snack, like whenever you want like some bread or something, because bread is
Yeah.
like I feel like a
Yeah.
typical thing that
Mhm.
we eat like just
Yeah.
commonly. Like you have the bamboleo and stuff
Yeah.
with just like everything. So my mom always makes enchiladas. That was like our favorite growing up. For
Mm.
Christmas, we have a yearly tradition on Christmas or 2 days before Christmas Eve. We make tamales with the women of the family.
I love that. Wait, my mom and I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so my abuela, she knows the recipe by heart, but
Mhm.
she's getting up in her years, so we've been trying to apply ourselves more in that whole tradition. So each year we kind of step up a little more as we
Yeah.
get older. Because I know in past years I was just crushing the pecans for the sweet
Yeah.
tamales. But now I'm like, putting the masa on
Yeah.
and we're in charge of folding them. And then
Mhm.
I don't know if this is just like a superstition with my family, but like, do you guys count your tamales or you guys don't count your
No,
tamales?
we count our tamales. Well, we sell tamales too. So we'll be
Okay.
like,
So you
okay, tenemos dos docenas. Una, dos. Like, we'll count it too. Yeah.
yeah, because we have like a whole thing, a superstition that like you're not supposed to count them. Like
Oh, really?
when we're putting them in the bowls, like we don't count them
Oh.
because there was one year we counted them because my abuela's like, don't count them. But there
Oh.
was one year that we did count them because we were having a lot of people, and my aunt was like, no, we need to know, like,
Yeah.
to make sure that we
Yeah.
have enough.
Yeah.
And they didn't cook. they were raw.
Oh,
And we were like, okay, we are
that
never
superstition, we're
counting
never
them
counting.
again. Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was super funny. I think those were like the main ones. Like I think the tortilla with butter one just makes me laugh, and I would always have that with the Nesquik chocolate milk. That was like always what I would make up
Mm,
when I was over at my abuela's house.
yeah, that's really good. I mean, there's such like importance. It's so essential to like, keep your traditions and your values and your heritage, but you can pass them on,
Yes,
And I always
exactly.
remind my sisters of that, but like yeah, they're also no Sabo kids, so they're like,
Yeah.
but this year don't play because I'm putting them,
Yes, as you
putting them on
should.
duty. So let's talk about. You said, of course, you were originally you went to UC Irvine
Mhm.
and then you transferred here to USC. Besides your sister, of course, being on track and field, like what kind of drew you here and, pushed you to make that decision for that transfer?
So, it was a very difficult decision. I'm not
Mhm.
gonna lie. I really loved my Irvine team. I
Mhm.
loved the city.
Mhm.
That was honestly what made me go there originally. Like the location of being near the ocean, coastal, Orange County. And it is still a rigorously academic school.
Yeah.
But I know USC is way higher than that. The
Yeah.
acceptance rate is much lower. I actually didn't get into USC coming out of high school. I still
Mm.
applied.
Mhm.
It wasn't my first pick though. So when the opportunity came up to transfer, our distance team here, we aren't, the greatest in the Big Ten. And I know that that year, 2 years ago, they were losing a lot of seniors.
Mhm.
And I know my sister was like, hey, like, we need some people.
Mhm.
And I feel like you could find your place here and, you could really excel and
Yeah.
become a better runner. And I was like, okay, like I would have to think about it. And the funny thing was is that earlier on that year, my teammates at Irvine actually asked me and they're like, if the opportunity ever got presented, would you go to USC? And I remember like with that hesitation, I was like, yes,
Yeah.
because who wouldn't take that opportunity?
Yeah.
And so I did take it
Mhm.
after I contacted the coach and entered the transfer portal and everything. And going through that process, it was definitely a bit difficult because you're still at the school that you're originally at, but then you're technically like into the new
Mhm.
school. So it
Yeah.
was it was a bit complicated to transition through it. And then my old coach, though, he was very supportive
Mhm.
through the whole transition. Then coming here though, it was pretty rough. I would say my first 3 weeks, I was probably crying every day because I
Mm.
think transferring, going into a new school as a sophomore, you're basically restarting over
Oh, yeah.
again.
Mhm.
I didn't have any friends, and
Mhm.
our team was really small. We only had, um, actually at that time, we had about 10 girls, which is still small for a cross country team.
Yeah.
But they were all older than me. They were all gonna graduate, and I was kind of known just like as little Jackie, you know.
Yeah.
I just needed to find my place to belong, but that's where Break On 2 came in. And
Yeah.
actually, my sister's best friend, Brianna, who was the president at the time, she was like, like, I think you would really excel. Like, I've seen your old dance videos from high school,
Mhm.
and I think you could really join us. And once I joined Break On 2, that was where I found my home. You
Mhm.
know, um, Slowly I started beginning to find my place with track and field, but I was still struggling with the fact that, I'm not an Olympian or I'm not the
Mhm.
greatest in the Big Ten. So it was a bit harder to grasp that. But with Break On 2, connecting back with my culture and finding people that appreciated me for me, not because of how fast I was or
Yeah.
the placement I got at conference or
Mhm.
anything, they just kind of saw me just as a person.
Mhm. I love that you found your little family with Break On Two.
Yes,
Well, not little, cause y'all are a big
we're
group.
big.
But I love that. Let's get into academics. You're
Mhm.
pursuing psychology here, correct?
Yes.
Being on track and field and being on cross country, did that influence your decision to study psychology?
Honestly, yes, because I think sports psychology is such an interesting concept. And I do attend sports psych sections actually.
Mhm.
We have a tons of sports psychologists on campus, thankfully. And I think just the support that you need sometimes as athletes, whether it's you're going through injuries or whether
Yeah.
school is getting hard or your relationships are getting difficult, I think psychology is a huge part in sports. Like it's always mind over body. in athletics, I feel like. So training your mind properly is what's gonna push you through,
Mhm.
especially in running. Running is like the biggest I think running is probably the most psychological sport,
Yeah.
I would say.
No,
Like
for
looking
sure.
at all the sports, like it's so rigorous in the training. You're literally having to train your brain and your body to be okay with basically pushing yourself to your limit almost every day just for
Mhm.
practices. And then in races, there's people falling on the floor after, there's people throwing up, like,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
literally
I've seen.
pushing
Yeah.
your body
Yeah.
completely, so sometimes it's hard to deal with that. I have
Mhm.
trouble dealing with that even right now. I'm going through an injury, and I'm seeing someone for that and trying to deal with myself,
Mhm.
and I have my sister and I have my religion too to,
Mhm.
coincide with that and support me, but, it definitely does play a big part in my decision to pursue psychology.
Mhm. Were your injuries also, like was that a big part as well, like, in pursuing as well?
Not as much.
Mhm.
I think my mind was already trained by my parents.
Yeah.
Growing up, we were always just like a you need to push through. Like even when we were sick,
Mhm.
sweat it out. That
Yeah.
was always
No,
sort of
yes,
like
yes.
our the way we grew up.
Mhm.
But then I think as long as we got older and then with running especially, we saw that injuries you do need to take the time off. And also I learned one day off is not going to kill
Yeah.
you. I think in high school I was so focused on, oh my gosh, I can't take a day off or else like I'm gonna get so set back. But once you get to college, you really take a step back and honestly, sometimes you need that day
Mhm.
of a break if something's hurting, because the training is so much on your body. So sometimes that break is okay.
Yeah. No, for sure. But the training does pay off, correct?
Yes.
Let's get into your personal best. 400 meters in 59.52 seconds, 600 meters in 1 minute and 38.14, and 800 in 2 minutes and
Mhm.
13.04. So, when you're going into a race, what's the mindset like? Like, are you like trying to beat your record? Like, what's the mindset like going into it?
I'm trying to remind myself what my mindset is because going into a race that I had the other weekend, I
Mhm.
was coming off injury 2 months.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a hard time going into my races. But I think I approach each race just with the purpose of what I'm doing it for. I'm Catholic
Mhm.
and I definitely strive for a purpose within Catholicism. I
Yeah.
won't get too much into it, but
Yeah.
with that though, I mainly do it for myself. I see how far I could push myself because, I think it's important to see see how much your training has paid off, see where your efforts have paid off. But
Mhm.
I think with running specifically, you really have to set your mind and break down the race. At least for me, like sometimes I'd be doing math during the race. So at least
Mhm.
for the 800, I break it down by 200s. So
Mhm.
there's four 200s total in an 800. And like the first 200, I feel like I'm not even there in the first
Yeah.
200. It's kind of just like your takeoff and then you just kind of float in the
Mhm.
race. And then the second 200, I'm just like, okay, I need to hit the right time at the 400. And then the last lap is just all or nothing. Like you
Mhm.
go.
Mhm.
And then, especially for the last 150 meters of the 800, like you just give everything that you have left. You pick them off one by one.
Yeah.
And that's like primarily for track. For cross country, that's a totally different animal. That one,
Mhm.
I'm not even the greatest at that one
Mhm.
mentally. I think that one's more focused on finish the race and take it mile by mile, um, or even by each kilometer in
Mhm.
high school, or in college.
Mhm.
But it's definitely a hard one to get through because I feel like that one you're dripping wet of sweat
Yeah.
and then your body's hurting and you feel like you can't get through it, but you have to. That one's more of a team sport. And honestly, I did it this year to help my teammates because
Mhm.
we only had 5 girls. So I had to do cross country.
Yeah.
But what got me through was like, okay, my teammates love cross country and they want to continue to do it. And the only way they can continue was if I did it.
Yeah.
Because without me, they would have had 4 girls and they wouldn't have been able to score in conference. So, um, I had to just push through and do it for them.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, teamwork is such a big part of every sport. I feel like I used to do competitive cheerleading in high
Oh my
school.
gosh.
Yeah, so like my mindset was like, okay, if my teammates are giving their 150, like I'm giving my 150 and vice versa,
Yes.
you know.
Mhm.
So you mentioned Catholicism. I saw that you volunteered at St. Paul the Apostle Catholic Church and
Yes.
Run Your City LA. Can you talk a little bit about just that experience, that volunteering opportunity, like what you gained from it, and just how it felt to give back to your community?
Both of those experience impacted me a lot.
Mhm.
I'll start off with the St. Paul one. I think St. Paul, I really had to connect back to my religion because I was kind of falling out of it, and so
Mhm.
that was why I was part of a cross trainers, is what we were called. So we would accompany the teens on retreats and stuff,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
basically just help them to open up and really see what their purpose was, to be here. And because when you're a teen, you're going through your adolescence,
Yeah.
it's a very difficult time. So
Mhm.
you just want to remind them, like, that they're here for a reason and that there is someone always supporting them. There will always be someone
For sure.
there for them. As for RYC, I think that one definitely had a huge impact on me because I'm an aspiring teacher, so and a coach,
Mhm.
and being surrounded by the kids is just such a joy. They're crazy,
Mhm.
but it's so much fun. I've gathered so much knowledge on planning and putting together games for them.
Mhm.
Technically I'm the co-president of
Mhm.
that, but the first year we did it, I was the season planner, so I would plan all the activities that we would do and all the games and the whole schedule of the hour that we would have. And those kids, they just want to run.
Yeah.
So it's like we were trying to teach them, the importance of like warming up and stretching, and they were just like, can we have enough of this? Like, we just want to run.
Mhm.
It's refreshing to see the passion that they have to just want to be outside and run. And that's the
Mhm.
whole point of why we're doing this. So that way they could get outside, because the LAUSD is a low economic school
Mhm.
system. And for these
Yeah.
kids, they sometimes don't have anywhere where they could just let loose.
Mhm.
And I know even in school, they try not to put that burden on the teachers because it's difficult.
Mhm.
Um, and so we just wanted to give them a place, even for their parents too, to just be out. The parents will walk on the track while we're with their
Yeah.
kids out there.
Yeah.
It gives them, just a little break
Mhm.
too.
Mhm.
But it's really nice to give back to the community around here, and just know also because it's primarily Latino community,
Mhm.
it feels like I'm giving back to my own people,
Yeah.
which is also really nice.
Mhm.
And I know my parents are super proud of that as well.
For sure. This happens here at Allison
At
Field.
Allison Felix, so actually, there's a whole thing with that right now. We actually got shut down.
Oh. Oh, no.
Unfortunately, this
Uh-huh.
year this year was our most successful semester.
Mhm.
We actually had over 100 signups,
Oh my
and
gosh.
then we knew
That's
that
good.
we knew all of them weren't going to come,
Mhm.
but we still had almost 90 kids the first session,
Wow.
and it was crazy. And so we had about 3 sessions, and there were still giant groups of kids coming. But then I guess we had to fill out some compliance forms that we were not
Mm.
aware of. So we did get shut down, but we are in the works of trying to get it back up and running to hopefully have at least one closing session where the kids just can have fun
Yeah.
and do like a little like field day with us.
Mhm.
But we'll definitely get it back up and running by next semester when we come back in the fall.
Yes. I will stay tuned for that because it sounds like such an exciting
Yeah.
organization. Um, I want to talk a little bit about NIL.
Hmm.
You know, sorry.
No worries.
um, so in the landscape of NIL, obviously, as I mentioned before, women's sports are growing a ton. I know track and field is like completely different. Well, not completely different, but different
Hmm.
from, basketball and football and all those other sports. So what's your take on NIL and just how important it is, having brands and sponsorships and stuff like that, like looking to invest in people, just how important it is to stay true to your cultural identity and to yourself. So,
I think it's super important. I think NIL has become such a great opportunity, especially for the Latino community to get out there,
mhm.
and for women in sports to get out there. I think, now with the age that we're at where kids are always online,
Yeah.
they're seeing everything. And I think seeing, There's always that huge impact psychologically of seeing your favorite athlete,
Yeah.
with the brand that you like, or maybe you don't like the brand, but you see your favorite athlete and you're
Mhm.
like, oh, maybe I should give it a try. I think it's a great opportunity. I do think, though, staying true to yourself, though, is so important. I
Mhm.
remember when I first entered the pool of NIL, it was just like, oh, like I'm gonna get some, extra cash on the
Yeah.
side,
Yeah.
but which it is. You do get some extra cash because we don't get paid as college athletes typically.
Mhm.
And but besides that, though, I remember there was a brand that reached out to me, and I was like, I don't think so. Like, it's not
Mhm.
really something that I even use.
Yeah.
So I was like, why would I want
Yeah.
to post that on my platform? But other things, like, I know a lot of our track girls are NIL with like Adidas, some of them with On. I think On's a great
Mhm.
brand, but I think it's a great opportunity for women and Latinos to really get their name out there and
Mhm.
get posted up, like on the magazines,
Yeah.
on social media,
Mhm.
like on the billboards. Like, I know that we are sponsored by a brand called Black Girl Sunscreen,
Mhm.
and one of my favorite athletes, she's an alumni, Anna
Mhm.
Cockrell. We saw her posted up on one of the billboards for Black Girl Sunscreen, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh my gosh, like that's
Did you
so
guys take a picture of
cool. Yeah.
it?
We sent it to
Send
our
it to
group chat.
her. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's such a great opportunity, though, and then especially to see your face up there. It's such a cool confidence
Mhm.
booster and experience. I know even my roommate, actually, she got a deal with Nike. They were looking for Nike models, and she got posted up in the Nike store. It was a Nike Skims commercial that they
Mm.
did,
Mhm.
and that was so cool because I think they're also being really good with the representation of representing all bodies, all like
Yeah.
all genders, all races and everything. I think they're doing such a great job with that currently. But yeah, I think it's super important, though, to stick to your culture, stick to yourself, though, and remember to embrace it in a way and represent who
Mhm.
you are through that brand. Like,
Yeah.
it's like for instance, if you're signed with On, like, yes, you're representing the shoe, but you're also representing the whole community
Yeah.
to which you're a part of.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of like the whole point of it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I want to discuss another passion of yours, which is dance. We
Mm-hmm.
mentioned earlier you've been dancing for quite some time now. How long exactly have you been dancing for? Like,
So I would say I started back up in middle school. I danced when I was really young, like some ballet, hip hop, and
mhm,
a little bit of jazz, but it was like 1 year when I was like
mhm,
4.
mhm,
Then middle school, I randomly decided to try out for my middle school dance team, and I made it. So then that from there that pushed me, and I did it in high school when I made the high school team for about 2 years, so 4. And then I quit going into my junior year because I realized that as much as I loved it, it wasn't gonna be something that was gonna get me where I want, at
mhm,
least for college, because they don't offer like dance scholarships, at least to the schools that I wanted to apply to. Like, I know one of my dance friends, actually, she goes to Pace, a school in New York,
mhm.
which is School of the Arts. So that's like different, but I knew that wasn't entirely what I wanted to pursue.
Yeah.
Um, but so I would say, yeah, 5 years, counting break on 2,
Mhm,
because had no experience with salsa dancing or partner dancing whatsoever. I was always middle school through high school. I think we did lyrical, jazz. I did some ballet with studio, hip hop, contemporary, modern contemporary.
mhm.
So basically, all those competition styles. It was more of competition dance rather
Yeah.
than just performances.
Yeah. And that, like, when you guys are making the choreography together, you and Kat,
Hmm.
I mean, there's so much that you guys tap into, like salsa, reggaeton, merengue, so much.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like additional help, or is it like you guys just learning it and just?
No, absolutely. I always give credit where credit is due.
Uh-huh.
I definitely asked the team for help. I would say we choreographed most of the opener this year on our
Mm-hmm.
own during winter break. But then for just like little quick fixes there, we had Victoria, our president, and
Mm-hmm.
Ana Pao, our vice president, helping us out. Nathan, he's like a 7 year on break on too. He's
Uh-huh.
graduating this year, though. Like, not finally. I'm so sad.
Yeah.
He's like super knowledgeable. He's done ballroom for like 10 years. So we
Oh,
asked him
wow.
for like help with like lead moves mainly
Yeah.
because it was two follows, choreographing a lead and a follow
Yeah.
routine. Same with Dylan and Patricio, they
Yeah.
helped us because sometimes we needed help teaching too. So we would
Mhm.
teach them a routine first, and then they would help teach us, teach the team. And
Mm.
then while we're teaching the team, we would split up practices because
Yeah.
we only had 5 weeks to learn all 8 of those. So we
Mhm.
had to split 4 and 4, or
Mhm.
like 2 per day that we practiced. So we
Mhm.
would split the team. But yeah, no, we definitely had extra help. Kat and I did not do that on our own, you
Mhm.
know. But it was so much more fun though, adding more people into it because then you have such a creative mix of who created it, and I think
Mhm.
that's cool.
Yeah. Well, going further into dance, in today's political climate, and like dance is not just art, and it's beautiful, but it's
Mhm.
also a way of expressing and conveying a message. So
Yes.
when you guys, do those choreographies, like what's your main approach to like how you guys want to convey that message?
I mean, I think for this year,
Mhm.
primarily, kind of set the bar and set the pace for what I try to generally focus on. I would say that Kat and I collectively came up with the idea, but the storyline was more me because I always wanted to make that's like my thing. Like
Mhm.
everyone's like, oh, Bella's gonna make another story with a choreo. Like
Yeah.
that's sort of my thing.
Uh-huh.
But going into it, I was like, okay, what connects with the theme Unidos en ritmo? Like, we're united in rhythm. And I was
Mhm.
really thinking about it. And I was like, okay, the rhythm of like music and stuff. I was like, honestly, thinking back to when I played soccer,
Mhm.
I actually trained with some Brazilians and they
What?
train, yes, they
Lord, I did not
train.
know.
It was like a little futsal soccer club
Uh-huh.
that we did, and the owner was a Brazilian, and they always played music whenever I played
Mm.
soccer. They were like, "You're dancing with the ball," is what they called
Oh
it.
my gosh,
So
that's
it was
that's
super
really good.
interesting,
Yeah.
yes. So I was like, okay, you could, if there's music playing and there's a rhythm, you could do anything with it, play soccer and stuff. So I was like, okay. Then, but also, personally, I love contemporary and lyrical because I feel like you could tell so much in your movements. So I wanted to incorporate that into the opener,
Mhm.
at least not contemporary and lyrical, but
Mhm.
speaking through the music. So Derek, at the beginning, you see him, he just starts breaking out in a dance. So the
Yeah.
scene was supposed to set as you're in like a dance bar or whatever,
Mhm.
but no one's dancing.
Yeah.
And there's music playing, and you're like, why is no one dancing? And then they're looking at Derek and they're like, what the heck is this guy doing?
Yeah.
Like, why is he just like breaking out in a
Yeah.
dance? So it also was kind of, an idea based off I don't know if you've seen Teen Beach Movie,
Yes, I
but the
have.
scene so
Yeah.
perfect. So the scene from where, Maya Mitchell, when
Uh-huh.
the "I Can't Stop Singing,"
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
like, how she loses control. So that's
Yeah.
kind of like what the idea was for opener, was that you lose control once the music starts,
Mhm.
and then that's how you start talking. There's no more talking in the club, like, you're just dancing to communicate with each other,
Yeah.
and, that was kind of the message that we wanted to convey with it, and we really tried throughout the whole thing. It is a bit difficult to stick to the storyline a little bit. I hope we came
Mhm.
across as that
No,
for the
yes,
most
yes, yes.
part,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, I think that's how we wanted to choreograph it
Mhm.
generally and really speak the theme of what Unidos en Ritmo meant to us.
Yeah, and what were, like, some challenges, like, leading up to, like, to the showcase? 'Cause putting on a
Mhm.
great performance like that, I'm sure it doesn't come easy.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I would say I think that the biggest challenge was, well, obviously choreographing all of that.
Mhm.
Kat and I spent, I think, probably like over 20 hours choreographing that all.
Mhm.
But it's putting it all together
Mm.
that was actually, that's a lie. That was the easy part.
Mhm.
Putting that all together was the easy part. It was the individual parts that were hard. I
Mhm.
think once you see the bigger picture, it becomes so clear. But doing it all individually, like the formations that we had to do, like Kat and I think spent an hour one time just on the salsa part of the formations
Yeah.
because I was like, no, I want like 2 circles. And she was like, what do you mean 2 circles? And I was like, there's an inner circle and outer circle. And she's like, what do you mean? And like,
Mhm.
we had to write it down on a paper. Then I had to like place like water bottles, a shoe, and stuff to like show random objects
Yeah.
just to like show her what I was talking about for the formation. So just like little things like that, or some people even dropped out of Break On 2 due to just being busy or just other reasons that I won't disclose. But
Yeah.
it was, yeah, so that became very complicated. So Kat and I actually had to step up for that.
Mhm.
And originally, everyone's supposed to be in basically, I believe it's 3 or 4 parts of the opener.
Yeah.
Kat and I ended up being in 6 parts of the opener because we had a couple of leads drop. So Kat had to lead one of our follows in the bachata section, and then I had to step up and do cumbia.
Yeah.
Kat at least had a lot actually experience leading because
Mhm.
she was our lead for salsa in the fall, like our
Mhm.
full salsa routine. I, for the other hand, I never lead, like, ever. So I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, this is stressing."
Yeah.
That was probably the most stressful part of the routine for me because I'm
Mhm.
not a lead. But ended up working out. We just didn't wanna put the burden on any of our other dancers because we're like, "Okay, we know the choreography, like,
Yeah.
let's just do it ourselves, and we'll just," again, we didn't wanna tire anyone else out
Yeah.
because we knew it was already throwing a lot at them to
Yeah.
do that long of an opener.
For sure. Had you done cumbia before? Or were you
I do
learning?
not have a lot of experience with cumbia, actually. That's probably, like, the hardest one for
Yeah.
me.
I want to go back to track and field.
Mhm.
The next meet is against UCLA here on May 2nd.
Yes.
How are you feeling about that? Like, are you excited?
I'm so excited. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be running
Oh, yeah, yeah.
due to injury,
Mhm.
which I'm so sad about because I was literally waiting for this meet all year long
Mhm.
because I knew it was going to be here and I wanted to invite all
Mhm.
of Rickon too and
Yeah.
like my friends and family. But I am very excited though for the team.
Mhm.
I'm betting on us winning this year.
I'm like, me too.
I know
Knock on wood.
we had a little bit
Yeah.
of a rough year last year at dual meet. I don't know what happened. Like
Mhm.
we literally won natties last year, but we lost the dual meet. So I'm not sure what happened
Yeah.
with that. But yeah, I'm super excited. Like it's always fun to host a meet at the
Mhm.
school. But it's also just like the rivalry just drives us
Yeah.
completely. Like I had that in high school, with our opposing
Crosstown
school.
rivals.
Yes,
Yeah.
our crosstown
Uh-huh.
rivals. So it's just really cool to
Yeah.
experience that.
For sure. I mean, that was my second question, like with the rivalry, like, yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be hyped.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to end on a few fun facts and
Mhm.
ask true or not.
Okay.
So on Break On 2's e-board post, I saw that your favorite dance style was jazz. Is that
Yes.
still true?
Yes, it is. Unfortunately, it's not a Latin style, I know,
Mhm.
but jazz is just it's so fun. You could even like add a little sexy twist to it. But
Mhm.
then I feel like that one in particular you could work with so much and I actually did last year. It was a jazz fusion
Mhm.
with salsa. That was my piece that I choreographed
Yeah.
last year's showcase. I
Uh-huh.
think you could just do so much with it and I love how sassy it is. It's just so
Mhm.
much fun.
For sure. And your favorite Latin song, No Me Queda Más by Selena Quintanilla.
Yes.
Girl, she's so good. Like, I remember always
Mhm.
doing karaoke with my aunt to her.
Yes, so that same routine I was talking about, I did El Chico del Apartamento
Uh-huh.
512 for my
Mhm.
song. I love Selena. I grew up that she was probably the one Latin singer that I grew up with that I like knew because my mom loved her. And I asked my mom which song I should do, and she was like, "I
Yeah,
think you have to do a Selena song." And I was
for
like,
sure. Like,
"Yeah,
she's iconic.
yes,
And the performance
exactly."
was iconic.
Mhm.
Well, Bella, thank you so much for being here today. I'm your host, Emily Ramirez, and you just watched Last Full Out.